Bet you're wondering how we got here. Stick around, we'll talk about it. Should have got a Corolla. Maybe a Honda Civic. Welcome back to Blue Collar Speed and Repair, the channel where we like to do everything multiple times. Don't laugh in the background, it's true. Last video you guys saw on this 83 C10, my daily driver, we did a bit of a engine refresh, honed the cylinders, put some bearings in it, some gaskets, nothing crazy. That engine is right here. After that video, started that video, I talked about having what I thought was a intake gasket leak, and which led to, I had an oil pan leak and all that, which led to the refresh on that engine. After that video was done, still had what I thought was an intake leak. Just at idle, kind of rough, spray along the intake runner, and it would, idle would rev up and smooth out. So we ended up taking and putting I had like a Edelbrock Performer, like a non-RPM, just a Performer intake, slapped that on there, still doing the same thing. Discovered that if you sprayed the side of the carburetor, idle would change and smooth out. So I think Quadrajet had worn throttle shafts, which happens on Quadrajets. So we ran down to the parts store, grabbed an Edelbrock 1406, which is a 600 CFM electric choke, pretty standard Edelbrock carburetor. Slapped it on there, ran great. Thought everything was good. Left here, went down the street and back, and started knocking and chugging white smoke out the exhaust. So ended up parking it for a few days and boroscoped it and found, I'll try to put a picture up here somewhere, found a piece of hardware in the number 4 cylinder. Now, we had no missing hardware whatsoever when we did this job. I don't know where this came from. I think it was probably in the intake that I pulled off the shelf, which I guess I didn't inspect well enough. I did turn it upside down and cleaned it, and we painted it and all that. If there was something in there, it should have fell out, but didn't. And unfortunately, let me grab a light here. I thought it damaged the cylinder head. It did not. That is actually a crack in the cylinder wall into a coolant jacket, which is where our smoke came from. So, these things happen. It's not the end of the world. So we went Facebook Marketplace shopping and found a guy selling two engines, actually. Had a 305 and a 350 that came out of the Louisiana swamp. The 350 said came out of a van or something, and it smoked, and they swapped it with a whatever over-the-counter long block or whatever. 305 came out of his son's like Malibu or something. Said it didn't smoke, everything ran great. They just swapped it with a 350 or LS swap. I don't remember. Anyway, that is this engine. So pulled this engine apart. Well, didn't pull it apart. Pulled the original engine apart. This one got the new water pump, new oil pump, new timing chain, everything from that engine, and then we re-gasketed and painted it. We did not touch this long block at all. So fired it up, ran great. 60 pounds of oil pressure, no smoke, no nothing, and thought everything was great. Drove it back and forth to work, which is roughly 72-ish miles round trip, and everything ran great, was good. The next morning, driving to work, got close to work, felt like a little bit of a misfire. So get off the next exit, and truck died. Hit the key, and it made a terrible noise, the biggest racket. And this whole time before it died, again, 60 pounds of oil pressure, running right at 180 degrees. But now, I don't know how well that shows up. That is a piston rod playing peekaboo through the oil pan. I don't know why. Like I said, we never touched this long block. We don't know how long it was sitting. It was sitting with no oil pan, or excuse me, no oil filter on it. There could have been a spider nest in there or something. Who knows? So we bought another 305 takeout from something off a marketplace. We're buying them all, apparently. So we're going to go round 2 on engines refresh here. I have some parts coming. I did not get new rings. We'll tear this thing down and inspect it. The guy did say it smoked a little bit. I do plan on using those cylinder heads that already have new valve seals and everything off of the original engine that we built. Does have a little bit of scarring from that piece of hardware, but no cracks or no damage that I can see. Valves look good. All that. Again, I don't know where that chunk of hardware came from. Who knows? Extremely bad luck twice in a row, basically. Not the end of the world. We're going to push on, and we're going to make this damn thing run once and for all. If it keeps messing around, it's going to end up with a 5.3 in it. So we're going to get some fluids draining, get this thing racked up. What are we doing first? You want to get that one out, or you want to get this one apart?
I feel like we should probably take this one apart because we're going to need to pull parts off of that.
Did you hear all that? We're pulling this one apart first. I'm going to quit yakking. I'm tired of it already. All right. At least we got a free chain with a hook. No, what are they called? Carabiner? Yeah. Nope. Pull that bolt out back there. Should we hold down? That's handy.
Bolt.
And there is random hardware just sitting on this thing.
Yeah, it's like they just.
That's all right. Trash can. You want to start doing the intake? I'll start yanking valve covers off.
Or not this.
I'll get you something. We're going to play ring around the small block Chevy?
Yes. Oh, this one's right.
Mm-hmm.
Put it in our intake box?
Yeah. Does look like there's a little moisture in here. This did sit outside. It was tarped and covered, and all the holes had rags and stuff stuffed in them, but you know, you can only get so protected being outside. So she's going to vacuum this stuff up. Not that it really matters because its heads are coming off, but she's going to do a quick vacuum, and then we'll get the heads yanked off. Yank these manifolds off real quick. They've only got a couple of bolts in them. Why has this one got 3?
didn't know if you wanted to eyeball those spark plugs or not.
No, it's got AC Delcos in it.
Really?
Extremely felt. That one's not as bad. That one's not as bad. I've got a little bit of moisture.
I don't think this handful is even straight.
Those two, a little half bad. That one's got a little bit of moisture on it. That one's got some carbon. Pretty indicative of burning oil. None of these are actually tight either. More of the same. Good news is we'll now have 2 sets of 305 heads if we wanted to do a very mild 350 build. Maybe Swamp Monster over here. And clean that one up, go through it. Okay, I believe, from what I understand, 305 heads on a 350, supposed to make it like 10.2 to 1 compression, something like that, which is nothing crazy by today's standards, but that and a little bit of a cam could make a fun little street motor. Might need to pop it with a pry bar or screwdriver or something. Go, Shira.
You know, I'm just bouncing the engine.
That's not going to do it. Is it working? Don't drop it on your foot.
I'm trying to. Was this there?
There it is. Nope, that one's already coming. I'll let you do the heavy lifting because
Hold on, I don't know how to hold it.
I've got a hand on it. All right, what do we see? Moisture.
Yes. I don't see much.
Wow. All right, pretty typical well-used engine here. Got some carbon buildup. Again, there's some moisture from it sitting. Number 8 here, however, so we can turn this here, like that. Yeah. Turn this over.
Number 8's a beaut.
She's a beaut, Clark. Yeah. I don't know if that was lean or what. I don't see any damage whatsoever on the cylinder head, so the problem is the pistons that we took out of this engine are a flat top design, which will be fine with using this cylinder head or these cylinder heads. Number 4, however, that had the hardware in it, she's a little rough. That being said, the engine that's currently in there has flat tops that match these. So I think I'm using 7 of these pistons, 1 of those, these cylinder heads, that intake, that carburetor, that oil pan, that water pump, and that oil pan, or oil pump, and cramming it all in this one. Everything's fine. We're going to take 3 engines and make one work. And then it'll blow up in a week. And then we'll put that in it maybe.
A day and a half is the limit.
Day and a half is so far the record. So we're going to finish tearing this thing down. Just yank the oil pan off. Water pump, timing cover, harmonic balancer, all that stuff. Excuse me. Probably go ahead and pull all these pistons out. Has a Wix filter, so it's probably fine. Okay, got this thing all torn down, all the old pistons and rods out. Crank looks pretty good. There's no scoring. A little bit of wear, of course, but maybe we'll try polishing this one a little bit. Is there a light, Candy, behind you? All the cylinders look very similar to this engine when we started, just worn. Cross hatching is mostly gone. Number 8 doesn't have any scoring, which I was a little worried about, with that piston being pretty well tore up. So you got the wire wheel. We're going to attack this thing, get it all cleaned up and prepped for paint and all that good stuff. Well, at least get all the gunk off of it. Kind of get this block cleaned up and ready to go, and then I guess we'll start ripping that engine out. We've had this engine out a few times. We did new bearings in this engine originally, and they're kind of scored up. I'm guessing some metal went through it, obviously. Metal and coolant. So we did get new rod bearings. We did not get new rings. Probably should have, but we didn't. So we're going to end up probably just doing a light hone and reusing the rings. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal for what we're trying to accomplish. So
You just want a truck to run.
yeah, we just want it to run at this point. So we're going to work on cleaning this thing up a little bit, or she is. Go through all 14 cans of brake clean we have or whatever and get it ready, and then we'll start ripping and tearing on the truck here. It's a new day. Spent all the time, got this thing all tore down as far as we need it, at least for now. I wanted to use like the roll lock pad on the die grinder. Had a problem with the air compressor. Had to replace the motor, do some wiring. Basically got sidetracked. So this thing is down as far as we need it to be. So we're gonna start pulling the engine out of this thing this morning. You grab a flashlight? Oh, it's right here. Give you a little better view of our carnage here on both sides. So I don't know if a rod let loose or a cap rod stud that holds the cap on let loose. My brain's not working. I'm a little stuffy this morning. I apologize. And for whatever reason, it's dripping transmission fluid now out of, looks like it's coming out the center of the yoke. So we'll need to deal with that at some point as well. It never seems to end. Never a dull moment around here. All right. Motor mount bolts, bell housing bolts, torque converter bolts, pull starter out. That's pretty much it underneath. I'm sure there's a few other things, but I don't know. I'm not awake yet. All right, she's going to start pulling the fuel lines off the fuel pump and get the lower bolts out of the radiator shroud. I'm going to work on these torque converter bolts, starter, bell housing, all that good stuff. And after I get the right wrench, let's try this one. You're making a lot of noise. Well, it's turning. That light just died. That's fine. That's in my face as per usual. That's trying out the oil filter, so that'll help. Something I didn't mention before is this is an 86 engine. So this has a one-piece rear main seal. So I ended up having to get a different flex plate, and I had a little bit of a gap between the torque converter and the flex plate, so I had to use some washers. But the other engine that we're using is not. It's a original old style two-piece rear main. So should be able to use the other flex plate and the other setup just fine. All right, pull a starter out here. Don't fall on my face, please. All right. All right. Put a strap underneath the transmission to kind of help hold it in place while we pull this engine out so it doesn't droop. We'll do a floor jack under it anyway, but all right, long extension, 9/16 swivel. Should be able to get all the bell housing bolts out. I'm putting this hardware up here. What hardware are you taking out? You only got the fan shroud bolts out? What have you been doing?
I got the fuel pump lines out.
That's it, huh?
What have you been doing?
I don't know. Talking to the camera. I don't think anybody's listening, though. You probably turned it off by now. They're probably like, we've seen this before. You need the 11/16. I need the 5/8. And all right, so motor mount bolts. She's holding the nut on the other side. Eventually.
Okay.
Eventually. We're waiting.
We got stuff in the way, okay?
We're all waiting for you.
No.
Uh-huh.
There's a hole in this oil pan that stabbed me in the hand.
How'd that get there?
No idea.
Oh.
Okay.
You said okay.
Go.
Uh-oh. Yeah, let me have it back. Nut off. Right. Next.
Ow.
I'm going to attempt to take the block drain out in the vehicle here. Probably with a socket though.
Somewhere.
Uh-oh, stuck. Yeah. Don't scratch the oil pan. All right, how much am I going to get all over myself?
All of it. It's not nearly as bad as the dip on this.
Yeah.
Or the oil filter. Doesn't matter. This truck got us both.
If you didn't watch the original video on this when we first got it, I pulled the diff cover off and wore a lot of gear oil. And she pulled the oil filter off and wore a lot of engine oil. And then was mad at me because I turned the camera back on. Here you go. All right. This should save us some mess, but it won't.
In our defense, a lot of it drained in the parking lot at the mall.
True. Okay, everything underneath is disconnected. Did disconnect the exhaust as well. Forgot about that. So up top here, fan shroud, some accessories. Gonna pull the distributor cap off so we don't risk breaking it. And rip and tear, rip and tear, rip and tear. We've done this a time or two. She already got the fan shroud bolts out. She apparently didn't want to wait for you.
It was 2 whole bolts.
I know. What if somebody wants to know how to get those 2 bolts out on this fine instructional video?
We saw it in the last video.
We might have skipped it in that too. Try it going backwards. There you go. She's new here. She's ready to get fired. That's what's gonna happen.
Go take a nap.
All right. Alternator, 1/2 inch on the top. 9/16 on the bottom. There we go. Don't pull on the wires. You seem more confused than normal.
It's about to go free falling.
We're not. We'll leave that bolt there. We're not ready for that yet. All right. She's got that ready to fall off. We got some radiator hoses, some heater hoses, a little bit of wiring. My side's on. What's taking so long?
I started after you.
How'd that go?
It's off. Oh, come on. This truck is now coated in ATF and oil. I don't think a little.
Yeah, but now it's got coolant too.
It's fine.
Everything's fine. This is going to come as a shock to you.
What?
You're where I need to be.
I'm always where you need to be.
Alright, now should be able to take this fan out. Ow, that's my finger. Let go, thank you. Good thing we drained the block. Oh. All right, engine's out without too much of a fight. Pro tip, there's a hook on the oil pan for your trans lines. You gotta disconnect that or you'll bend the crap out of those. You gotta bend those back down into a normal position. Broken engine number 1, broken engine number 2. Good engine. All right, so gonna rip all this stuff apart. This water pump we're keeping, of course, all the accessories, intake, probably valve covers, clamshells for the engine mounts, all that kind of stuff. We're gonna go on there with that original oil pan. This oil pan is obviously damaged, but we had to swap to this oil pan because of the one-piece rear main seal was different. True. More ripping and tearing. It's all pretty straightforward stuff. Like I said, I'm gonna pull all accessories off, valve covers off, intake, all that. I'm curious if we can even see anything as to why it did what it did, or if we're just gonna find carnage. But we'll find out. What are you doing over there? The work's over here. What are you doing?
Where's the 9/16 wrench?
I don't know. So you can see some obvious marks where this one contacted the cylinder head. And if you look at the notch that points forward, this one's rotated slightly. This one is not rotated, but obviously smacked the head. So I'm thinking both of these let go. Where'd our tripod go?
Right there.
So,
You know, flip.
let's flip this thing over, see what kind of carnage we can find. Although I'm pretty sure I know.
Oh man.
You want to get the kitty later?
Here. Have that. I'll get you over. Good Lord. Fix it.
Hurry, it's spreading. Hurry. Oh. Gonna get over here somewhere? Perfect. Well, here's our carnage. You can see by the discoloration pretty much from here forward. I'm guessing there was some kind of junk in the oiling system, so we weren't getting oil up here, which is odd because it didn't make any noise and had good oil pressure. So obviously,
It's twisted.
what's that, number 1, Number 2 got hot and twisted. 3 is surprisingly okay. 4 is non-existent, but 5, 6, 7, and 8 all appear to be okay. All right. All we need is one good piston out of this.
I twisted this.
Got a little bit of a cleanup, more or less just spread stuff around. Getting ready to start reassembling this engine, and I think last time I used this style hone, which worked fine. I do have a bubble hone that works a little bit better. This is not actually the right bore for this engine, or the right hone for this bore, I should say. It's a little big, but it seems to be doing the trick. Where's my light at? So the goal is just to put some cross hatching back into it, which it is doing. I need to go a little bit more, but compared to that one, where it's fairly smooth on the cylinder wall there. So this is ATF for lubricant and some solvent out of the parts washer. Pretty straightforward, just again, the goal here is not to take material off. It's just to clean up the cylinder walls and put cross hatching in. This is not a rebuild. This is more just a refresh. It looks pretty good there. Still got a little bit of a line there that I don't think he's going to really come out without really getting aggressive, but I'm not overly concerned about it. Again, refresh. So I'm going to knock out this bank, flip it over, do the other bank, and then we'll prep the pistons to go back in. Okay. These all cleaned up pretty well. Got some oil in an oil can here. I'm going to oil down the cylinders. Go somewhere.
Touch your corner.
Yeah. Just want to put a coating. I'm not actually sure what's in this oil can, but it's some kind of thick oil. Just want to put a coating on this so we're not shoving them in there dry. We got the pistons. Oh, they were kind of laid out in order.
Just standing them back up in the order they were.
And she's going to put the bearing on it for me, I think.
Sure.
They are marked from last time, 1 through 8. So if you want to find whichever one says number 1. It's on the side of the cap.
I have one.
Okay. All right. Well, she plays around with that. This is the style ring compressor I have. They make the taller ones that you tighten down with there's like a special Allen wrench and all that stuff. Whatever your flavor is, this one I own it. So this is what I'm going to use eventually. Maybe today, maybe later today, could be tomorrow. Next week.
I'm getting the edge.
You should be able to just push.
With my weak hands.
Okay. 10 years later. A little assembly lube on our new bearing. Make sure our notch is facing forward. If I grab one of these, it's too big. Hey, there we go. We have a hammer out still? It's right there. Nope. Make sure that's lined up and not banging into our crank. There we go. We have 9/16 somewhere. Okay, run that down just touching. Prep for number 2.
You're never getting number 2.
You having troubles? Oh.
See, that one came right off. These grands are horrible.
All right, running these down just snug. We'll torque them all after we get them all put in.
4 was the trash one, right?
4 was the trash one. All right, we're just going to knock the rest of these in. Pistons are all in. Connecting rod cap nuts are all torqued down. Went ahead and swapped out for our new timing chain. Went around with like a roll-lock pad. Missed this water pump. Got all our sealing surfaces, so I think we're ready to start putting this thing back together with shiny new gaskets for the, I don't know, 3rd time or whatever it is now. You know what happened to the bolts for this?
I handed them to you.
Great. So they're gone. I don't know. No, they're right here. All right. A little silicone in the corners. All right. That one.
I thought these went under those last time.
Okay. I don't know. I just work here. Slam it on there. Where are the... Okay. Got it. All the way up. There you go.
Okay, you want to use those head bolts or these head bolts?
They're all the same. It doesn't really matter.
I just know that we clean the threads really good on those ones.
Okay, let's use those ones. All right, cylinder heads are all on. The head bolts are down and snug. Cylinder head torque is 65 foot-pounds, but you do them in in steps. So generally I do 25, 25, 45, 65. Then you want to do them in a circular pattern from the inside out. There's hundreds and thousands of pictures online to show the sequence. So you can just lay your phone up here or be old school and, you know, like print it out if you wanted to. I'm already out of order. Here we go.
Okay, I'm going to go for a minute and get rid of some silicone off this one.
One sec. Apparently that one wasn't snug down. So that was 25 foot-pounds. I'm going to do that one 25, then do them again at 45, again at 65. She's going to make a bunch of racket, so I'm just going to skip forward. All right, cylinder head's torqued down. I'm going to get the push rods in, get the valves adjusted. You watched the other video on this engine, well, that engine. Use the vice grip garage method, seems to work pretty good. Run everything down snug, rotate the engine quarter turn, snug again, quarter turn, do it 8 quarter turns basically, 2 full revolutions of the engine, and set your zero lash that way. And premise is at some point the engine will be at the base of the circle or base of the cam lobe, and that's where you set your zero lash. So I'm going to go through and do that real quick. And intake, valve cover gaskets. Then we ready for paint? All right. All right, valves all adjusted. Gave them all a half turn after we were done. Already put the intake on. I did a little bit of sealer around the head side. A little bit of safety precaution, as well as kind of helped hold the gaskets in place. Your intake gaskets, your engine gasket kits, they all come with these little rubber China wall deals. I'm going to reiterate this again. I said in the last video. Throw these in the trash. They don't seal properly. They pull in. They blow out. Giant oil leaks. Not worth it. Not worth the headache. So instead, I'm going to take silicone and do about a 1/4 inch bead. I'm going to sit down because I'm tired. Alright, thick 1/4 inch bead across the front and the rear. She's going to put the intake on it. Should be able to see it squish out. Go ahead.
Trying to make sure I line the bolt hole up here.
Yeah. There you go.
Squish.
A little carried away in the back apparently.
Gasket moved on this one.
Alright, this battery's about to die. So I think we're just going to bolt these on real quick. Thread sealant on your intake bolts and a small block Chevy. They do go into coolant ports. You'll end up with a little bit of coolant seepage if you don't. Same with the head bolts. We did do that. I don't remember if I mentioned it. We're going to bolt this on, bolt the valve covers on real quick, tape a few things off, give this thing a coat of paint, and let it dry overnight. It's getting kind of late, tired, hungry. We'll see you guys in the morning. Good morning. It's another new day. Everything takes forever. Got the engine all painted up last night. You can see everything's still a mess. Apparently our maid took the night off last night. We don't have a maid. So I think we're getting close. I think all we got to do is get the balancer on, some bracketry, slam the plugs in it, manifolds. We're ready to reinstall this thing. Where do you want to start? Nap? I vote nap. All right, engine paint is not as nice as the first go around. I wasn't near as careful. So it's not as pretty as it was, but that's okay. I'm gonna fire up the compressor so I can clean the gasket material off the manifold, so you guys don't have to hear that. Slam some plugs in, wires, manifolds on, start working on the brackets. Make sure and use the installer for your balancer. You try to beat it on with a hammer, you're just going to damage it. If you try to suck it on with a bolt, you just snap the bolt off. And then you're real bad shape. Okay, engine is in, just set in place. We only have a couple bell housing bolts in there. We're going to clean up our mess so we don't track it absolutely everywhere like we already have been. Then we'll get this thing bolted in. All right, well, we tried to do it again. Engine's in. Notice the intake's off. This is what I was using for a vacuum port to run our heat and AC controls. Had two prongs. One had a red vacuum cap. Chain smacked it. Broke those off. Where do you suppose it went? Right into number 7. So we had to yank the intake off again. I have no words. This truck's cursed. Or maybe I'm cursed. I don't know. I've put many an engine together without an issue. And now I'm glad we caught it before we fired this engine up, or we would have been back to square one again. We'd have not 2 boat anchors, but 3.
You're driving to Tennessee for another 305.
Yeah, we'd be driving around trying to find another one. So, moral of the story, don't be like me, I guess, because I don't have any clue what I'm doing.
In our defense, there was nothing missing, nothing broken from the first one.
True, there was nothing missing from the first one. I think it was in the intake, which it's still our fault because we should inspect it better. All right, so I'm going to get this piece out, clean this intake up again, and reinstall it again. All right, back to where we were an hour ago. There's our piece, got it out. Got a rag in the intake. You should always put a rag in your intake or tape it or something. I knew that. But, you know, you get in a hurry and it ends up biting you. So, It's exactly what happened. Got in a hurry. Figured didn't need it. Wasn't that big of a deal. And it bit me and ended up costing me time. So be careful. Take your time. Don't be like me. I don't know what I'm doing, obviously. So let's finish putting this back together and seeing what else we can mess up. All right, might as well start with up top here since, well, we're standing here. Already kind of got the power steering pump in place. She got the bolts for the AC compressor, which is a bit of a hassle.
I don't remember where they go.
And that's why it's a hassle.
Pretty sure this one goes back here.
It does.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Two short ones, I believe, go here.
This one goes back here. Carburetor.
Okay. How'd that go? That. All right. This one's a little tricky. Gotta get up in here. Ah. Don't mind all that noise. Vroom, vroom.
Interesting.
All right, here you go. I got your wrench. So the vacuum fitting that broke off of goes to this little vacuum pod over here. That guy. That runs all the heat and AC stuff inside. We're gonna have to go to run into town real quick and grab a fitting or whatever. I don't have anything else. Pretty sure we broke it last time.
Taking the first engine out.
Taking the first engine out. Made this one work. No, that's not what was in the first engine.
It was threads.
Yeah, had threads on it. I don't know what the heck it was, but it was something for sure. My nurse was not ready. I need a screwdriver. You weren't there to give it to me. What are you doing with radiator hoses? Well, not until we get the fan shroud in. I guess we can put the bottom one in.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought it'd be easier to get to the bottom one with the water pump.
All right, all right.
No fan and no fan shroud in there.
All right.
I realize easier.
You're right again. Is that what you want to hear?
No, I just want to watch you put it on.
These things be bent. I don't know how that happened.
Somebody got a little enthusiastic with the cherry picker.
You were operating the cherry picker, young lady.
I know. I was blaming it on myself.
Okay, good. Tired of it always being my
Getting
fault.
off the fence when I was blaming it on myself.
Is that on there? I don't know.
Whatever, right?
I don't know. Why did you back these hose clamps off so far? You gotta, like, chew these down for a mile. What's going on? Oh my god, I can't hold on to a screwdriver. Stop laughing at me.
I'm gonna laugh at you.
Line up the 4 circles.
Working on it.
Just like when you were little, line up the shapes. You sure? You got it?
Nope.
Need some help?
I have a top one on there. Right there. Why is it not doing the thing?
Everything's got overspray on it.
Why?
Like somebody didn't care when they painted it. I cared the first time. When you get to your third engine in just a few weeks, you don't care anymore. Where's that? There it is.
The same vehicle.
That's what I meant. I'm sorry, I didn't clarify. Third engine on the same vehicle.
Well, if it was progress on different vehicles, it'd be different. That's excitement.
I was excited. The very first engine build, I was really happy, really excited. Oh.
Even did a burnout when it started knocking.
Oh, so now it's my fault. Understand?
Mm-hmm.
All right, now what? Belts.
Banter.
Put this guy on.
We do pan before we do belts, right?
No, we put the belts on. What am I hitting? Uh-oh.
What's the put?
Where's the... All right. Right here. Okay, top side's all buttoned up other than distributor, and she's making racket in the background like usual. We're going to put this thing up in the air, and bell housing bolts, torque converter bolts, exhaust and starter, and we put the distributor in, put some fluids in this thing. All right, buttoned up the bottom side. Not a lot to see. Bell housing bolts, torque converter bolts, starter, exhaust, stuff like that. Did find another vacuum fitting in another intake, plugged off the one I don't need. So gonna pop that one out real quick. The broken one. Pop this one in. Drop the distributor in. We already put oil in it. There's some coolant. I don't think I showed this previously and should have. I have this tool. It's made by OEM, oil pump primer tool. So it's got a slot in the end that hooks to the oil pump. You put a drill on the other end. Ran that, primed the engine, double checked, just with the drill is getting like 40 psi of oil pressure. I don't think I, again, showed that in the last video, but good idea to get oil pumped through the system before you first start. So can put some Teflon tape on this, swap that out real quick, and then we'll drop this distributor in. See if this thing runs. I hope it does. We got our fingers crossed, our toes crossed. Whatever we can cross is crossed. All right, vacuum port's all in. Before we drop the distributor in, we want the engine over to top dead center. So easiest way for me to do that is took number one spark plug out, put my finger over the hole, spark plug hole, have her bump the starter, and I should feel and hear compression. Go ahead. We're already there. Well, that was simple. So from there, I'm going to line up our mark. Yeah, so we're coming up on top dead center now. So get a wrench down there, line up our timing mark to our timing tab, drop the distributor on. The way I set my distributors up, I like the rotor pointed towards number one, to the number one cylinder. So where I want it lining up, I put a mark at the number one spot on the cap and the distributor itself. This does have the oil pump drive, which actually is in line with the rotor button. So I need to look back there, make sure our oil pump rod is where we need it. Otherwise, it's a bit of a hassle to get in. Then we can drop that thing in there. Oil pump drive's all lined up. Oil pump drive is not lined up. What's happening? There we go. That might work right there. We'll try it. It'll probably be wrong. I usually stab it the wrong way the first time. So I'm going to get a wrench, tighten that up just snug, put all the wires and the cap on, fire it up, try to fire it up. It's going to be wrong.
Then you're going to get irritated.
Then get irritated, pull it back out, do this whole process over again. I'll save you guys the trouble of watching it. Okay. Coolant's gurgling away. It's about full. Distributor's in, spark plug's back in. I'm going to prime this carburetor. A little bit of fuel. Spill it everywhere. Fire extinguisher over there. If it makes noise or knocks, there's a 5-gallon gas can. We'll just burn it to the ground and see what happens. Yep. Well, that was easy. Go ahead. Shut up. We're good. Just the AC belt decided to flip over. Apparently we're not on all the way in the bottom. So it started. Ran good. Where's the light? She's got part of our AC belt. It just decided to roll over for some reason. So let me see what belt I have. Let me swap that out real quick, and then we'll start it again. Let it run. Never a dull moment. Okay, got the belt situation all set up, all straightened out. I didn't have the power steering all the way back on the crank, and the crank and AC belts were trying to share the same space. Wasn't happening. All right, round two. Was smoking just a little bit, oil in the cylinders and whatnot. Running pretty good, sounds pretty good. Don't hear any noises. Let it warm up a little bit. excuse me, let it warm up a little bit. Get the choke to fully open, and we'll check timing and all that. We got to change the battery. Timing all locked in, 34 degrees all in. Island between 7 and 750. It's all warmed up. No noise. No nothing. Running nice and smooth. Hopefully this will last longer than a day and a half. Yeah, a little hazy in here from there was some oil and whatnot in the cylinders, but hopefully we're good this time. I'm really hoping it is. Been kind of a hassle. I thought we were done with this truck completely after the last refresh, and these things happen. You know, it happens to the best of them, the worst of them. I'm sure there was something I could have done to prevent it, but you know, what do you do? I'm not going to beat myself up over it. It is what it is, so I feel like I'm rambling on. Anyway, if you made it this far in the video, I appreciate it very much. If you come this far, I feel like you owe me a like and a comment and subscribe. Other than that, you got anything to add? Thanks for hanging out. We have a gigantic mess to clean up. The work never ends. We'll see you guys next time.